Hey everyone. With all the absences, I thought it would be nice to just kind of go over the arena map with you one more time and what you should have. And this is going to be done per chapter. So what you see right here is basically the launch into the arena. The color of it is not done yet because remember the pencil part's the most important and then we add that color later. So here we have the cornucopia. And Katniss is the narrator, so she was the one explaining this. And we knew from her description that she was standing on her metal plate. 5 people to her right was Peeta. They were all on those metal plates launched from below ground into the arena. We know the cornucopia was a golden color. The sun was in her eyes, and she also at this time told us several other really important things. I'm going to adjust this real quick. Okay, so we knew from her description that I'm a first timer. She saw the lake over here to her right. She saw some trees to her left. And again, guys, I am just doing a very rough sketch here of chapter where's Katniss. We knew there was trees behind her. And that's in fact where she took off running when the gong went off. And she told us that there were several types of trees. And we also knew that she was going downhill, which she told us she didn't really like because she prefers to be in trees or elevated so she can see what's going on below her. And don't forget, if you just started with triangles like me, don't forget to add your trunks here. You can do that to the rest later. Several different types of trees. And we know as she got further down and deeper, she decided it was time to call it a night and get in a tree, take a rest, look at her backpack, and just try to figure out what's going on at this day 1 of the games. And we know that she decided to go ahead and settle in a tree as far away from all the other tributes as possible. That was Haymitch's instruction. And so as she was settling, she discovered a tribute who she called the biggest idiot in the arena, who started the fire below her. And if you recall, we deemed that fire to be significant. It's significant. I'm going to go ahead and just add my color now. It was significant because she drew the careers to come find her. That fire drew in some attention. And because she was coming to be hunted down, it is this very fire and this tribute's death that Katniss discovered Peeta was traveling with the careers. So this is where we would have labeled at chapter 14. Where is Katniss? She is in a tree, noticing that Peeta is traveling with the careers. Peeta doesn't see her, but she saw him. So we ended with chapter 14, with her in a tree and the fire being significant as well. The next chapter, I'm sorry, this is not chapter 4. This is chapter 11. Sorry, this is chapter 11. My apologies. And so then it was that she ended up staying in the tree overnight because it was the most safe place for her to be. And the next morning, she knew she needed water. Water was her priority. So she came down from the tree the next morning when the coast was clear, and she started to venture in pursuit of water. And she walked and she walked and she walked, and she stumbled across a couple birds. And as she kept walking, she became weak. And she discovered that if she doesn't find water right away, she may just die right there. Katniss, on her way to find water, does fall down And she starts to, her spirits are down. That was one of the changes in her. She was so strong for so long. Still no water, falls down, and out of nowhere discovers mud. And as she's on the ground, she says mud 3 times. That repetition of the word mud is definitely symbolizing the importance of that. And when there's mud, there's water. And I'm just gonna draw my mud. The mud was about right here. And upon walking a little further, she found a little pond. And inside the pond, there were fish. The pond is not as big as the lake. She found a little pond. And inside of that pond, there were some fish. I'm gonna make that bigger. And even some water lilies. I gotta make a flower. And she was so excited because tomorrow, the next day, she was going to camouflage her backpack with the mud, and she was going to catch some fish to eat, and she was going to fill every water bottle that she could think of and just chug water all day long. So where is Katniss? In chapter 12, she is cozy as can be in this tree right over here. Notice how far away from the career tributes that would be, because we know that they tend to stay at the lake up here, at the lake. And so Katniss is in chapter 12, happy as a lark in a tree, until she is chased out of this area by a wall of fire. In chapter 13, that was the big deal. Don't forget this is fire. I'm going to go ahead and add a little color for just the feature of it. And the reason that there is fire was, remember, the game makers don't like to be bored. And they were bored. The last death had happened down here with the girl that started the fire underneath Katniss when she was in that tree. So they do not like to be bored. So the game makers, knowing that it's a manipulated arena, they decided they were going to get some action going. So, of course, Katniss, knowing that this fire is on her trail here, she has to get out of that tree. And so she does. She boots, scoots, and boogies, and she is out of that tree, and she's going this way, because where else is she going to go? Katniss gets out of the tree in chapter 13, and she is headed this direction. And as she's on the move, she is hit with fireballs. Fireballs hurt. Well, I think they would hurt. Katniss told us they hurt because she was in a lot of pain. In fact, she was in so much pain that it was almost unbearable. And as she's moving along, she gets all the way over here, and she finds the career tributes. She boogies up this tree. Let me move this again. She climbs this tree. And they have a little conversation, and it was kind of a funny conversation. She's like, come on up, careers. And Cato says, oh, I think I will. He's not able to climb trees. Katniss is well up in that tree. She's high, high, high. And don't forget, Katniss never stays in trees that are not concealed with another tree. So she is up in this tree. The careers are below her. Peeta is below her. And she stays up here, and out of nowhere, at the end of chapter 13, she sees some eyeballs, and she discovers that little Miss Rue is in the tree next to her. And we showed Rue as a red flower because we didn't want to use another person. So if you want to put Rue as the red flower, because that is the symbol of Rue all along, per Katniss. That's what she reminded her of. Primrose is a flower, Rue is a type of flower. So here you have, at the end of chapter 13, you have both girls in a tree. And that's where we stopped. All right. Then Katniss was pointing to something, Rue was pointing to something very significant, and it was a my color pencils are bad. It was a tracker jacker nest. Tracker jackers, remember, were mutations from the capital, and they're much like a wasp or a bee, but except if you are stung, you get hallucinations. Well, as Rue points that out to Katniss, that is Katniss's way of getting all the careers to leave her be. So she cut the Tracker Jacker nest down, and Glimmer, the District 1 career tribute girl, was under the tree. She was supposed to be watching guard, but I think she fell asleep. We can assume that the others were somewhere else, and who knows what they were doing. We don't know, but probably nothing good. And when the Tracker Jacker nest, as Katniss was sawing it down, she was stung 3 times, but she was able to drop that nest all the way to the ground. And Glimmer and the girl and another girl tribute were stung multiple times. They didn't get too far, and Glimmer dies about right here. Well, everybody, all the other career tributes get stung as well, so they start heading to the lake because they're trying to get away from. They think the water's going to save them, so they're long gone. Glimmer's dead down here, but the good thing about Glimmer is she has the bow and arrow. So as Katniss climbs down and starts to get away from the careers again, she's over here somewhere, probably heading back to the pond, and she discovers, oh wait, Glimmer has the bow and arrow. And while she's thinking, oh, okay, Glimmer has a bow and arrow, all the careers and Peeta are thinking, oh, the bow and arrow, because they can't let Glimmer's body get picked up by a hovercraft. Because if it does with the bow and arrow is out of the arena for the rest of the games. So little does either of them know that they're heading back in the same vicinity for that bow and arrow, but Katniss was able to get it. Katniss got the bow and arrow from Glimmer's dead body. It was a little bit of a detailed description of how she managed to cut that loose. But now Katniss has the bow and arrow starting chapter 14. But as she is grabbing the bow and arrow, the venom from the Tracker Jackers are really, really getting to her. So she's fighting her for it. Peeta comes busting through bushes right around here and sees Katniss and says, get out of here. Well, she doesn't understand because of those hallucinations, but Peeta tells her to get out of there. Then Cato comes crashing in after Peeta, and Katniss only remembers falling into a dark hole, a deep hole, right in chapter 14. And the hole had a bunch of leaves around it. But you know what? She has the bow and arrow. So I'm going to draw Katniss falling asleep at the end of chapter 14, but she's got the bow and arrow. And she goes night-night due to the Tracker Jacker stings, but she's got the bow and arrow. And this is chapter 14. Right there. And I am going to stop right here because 15 is the chapter that we're going to be doing tomorrow, or you all will be doing it tomorrow. But I'm going to give this some color real quick, and then I will post a picture right next door to it on your TL campus.